Good evening, folks. Zach Cross here, Marysville, California. Right here on, what is this? 6th and D Street. So, since I moved to town, before I moved to town, I was hearing about some pretty bad stuff going on. Some pretty heinous things, actually. And I got asked by a lot of people in pretty much every quadrant of Marysville to please come and help. Well, after several years of screwing around with North Yuba Water District trying to get to the bottom of things, I found out real quick, while I can find things out as long as I've been in this game of politics, sometimes living where the problem is helps you get to the solution a lot quicker. So me and Rachel are on our way out of the state. Give it a couple of years, maybe 4 years max, but probably a lot sooner. And I wanted to help Marysville out with a couple of things, and I need to focus my attention on these things because they can make a big difference for both Marysville and the county as a whole. One is I have a pretty good plan to help the homeless problem get straightened up and figured out how to fund it and a bunch of other stuff that I'd like to be working on. And I also have some ideas besides the dispensaries that I already put in, and the third I'm requesting that I hear Chief Sachs has got some buddy from Texas allegedly, through a rumor, he's promising the license to already. I don't know if it's true or not, folks, but it just goes on to the list of shit that I really don't want to hear about, that, I take it upon myself to be the guy standing for freedom, mostly because I love my own freedom, and it's a side effect that you guys get freedom also, as we're all in this shit together. But anyway, let's go ahead and get the video started. 3 scandals of concern. So let's go ahead and start with the abuse of police leadership's powers. I've been hearing both Yuba County Sheriff's Department and Marysville PD's leadership at the top, the very top, has several women, some of them who've came to me and told me some really screwed up stories. A lot of them people are the most, they pick their victims smart. They're pretty much these homeless people and people on drugs that aren't going to be able to make it through a jury trial. I've heard enough so far that I do believe that there is some truth to this. If there's not, this is part of the reason I've been hesitant to put anything out like this for a long time. That, and about 20 years ago, I found out it doesn't matter how hard you work to get a murder or a rape solved around here. If the oligarchy's behind it, nothing's gonna happen, kind of like Sarah Easton. So, and there's just way more than you guys know. So anyway, these accusations of rape and abuse of power by young women who are, anywhere from good looking or just, average, have been making accusations against both our sheriff and our chief of police here in Marysville. And I don't know really, I've sat on this for a while. I've prayed on it. This is the best I can do, folks, because this is wrong. I don't know why the Me Too stuff skips over this, especially when you look at the history of, Carl Adams, Sutter County DA, and a lot of these other people who get caught up doing stuff. But it's probably because a lot of people are in on it within our government. The second abuse of leadership power is also by Chris Sachs, and I don't know if you guys know this, but he got named the head code enforcement guy somehow, where normally by law, because it's obviously an issue morally and ethically where people want to keep the law and basically code enforcement stuff separate because you don't want abuse of power. He's double dipping in this position. And he's also been for some reason, it looks like, targeting mixed-use properties of both commercial and residential. I don't know if this is part of the plan for some economic development thing that we aren't privy to as non-government officials locally. I don't know if it has to do with the rumors I heard about his buddy wanting the third license that Marysville's talking about getting. I don't know what it's about, but he definitely seems to be targeting ones like Verna with the cats. First they get a ticket for not having plates and feeding the cats on the concrete, and then not for cleaning up the plates, $600 each time. I hear they're harassing people at the other end of town over here with mixed-use properties. I hear this has been, basically there's about 4 or 5 different people who've been telling me about the harassments from Chief Sachs as his new code enforcement role, and I've even experienced it myself. I believe in retaliation, he is harassing my landlord, who had an agreement with our neighbor who has the empty lot next door, and basically called up and sent a notice to our neighbor telling him he had to cut down trees, and my friend, who is a Korean and Vietnam veteran, could not park there, otherwise the landlord was going to get the landowner was going to get a ticket. Well, we keep an eye on that place. We did a dump run of stuff homeless people have left there just a month ago or so. You know, I think when 2 neighbors have an agreement and the agreement isn't hurting anybody, definitely an abuse of power to attack my landlord in retaliation of me along with a neighbor. Maybe that's a problem that I've experienced personally with this code enforcement role Chris Sachs is under, and mixed use property. All right, folks, we're on to the second thing. This is about the court mediation system. We have a couple of people in there by the last name Scott. They started out as cops, and I hear they already received pensions from that, in addition to working in the mediation department of the Yuba County court system over here behind the Marysville City Hall, the more beige than white building. And for those of you who aren't local watching this, and basically what they do is they're in mediation, and they also have a third-party company. Oh God, I should have put it in my notes. It starts with an A. It's a family services. I'll put it in the description below. It's like Ahern, or anyway, I can't remember what it is right now because I'm stressing out about making this video, to be honest, because it's just like, you know, half the reason I'm great at this political agitation shit I do, it's not that I do it because I love it, it's giving back, you know, as part of recovery, but part of the reason I'm good at it is I spend a lot of time pissed off, folks, and it's stuff like this when I don't know what to do about it and there's not enough of you giving a shit to do something about it and making excuses. It drives me crazy. So anyway, said people who are ex-police officers pulling a pension, they're also the court's mediators, are writing into forms basically the name of their private business, and making it where the clients have to go there for parenting classes, parenting supervised visits, and other stuff like that, instead of leaving it blank, allowing them to go to wherever they want. The third thing is Adventist Health, our hospital, and some care home in Live Oak, I hear. They've got a buddy. Somebody in Adventist here at Old Rideout is friends with the owners of a care facility for seniors and rehabilitation over in Live Oak. And I guess they're giving all of their people that they've got to this Live Oak facility, which we will remain nameless at this point in time because that is a private entity, not a government entity open to scrutiny of the First Amendment and due process in the same ways. Basically, from what I understand, even when that care facility is overpacked, what they're doing is they are sending them there anyway, and then that care facility in Live Oak makes uber more money because they're having to provide care off-site, meaning another facility. So they're making money forwarding them to another facility that's actually caring for them. And I hear that they're keeping senior citizens hostage for a 30-day period of time so they can get a 30-day billing even if they don't want to stay there. I hear the conditions are subpar for, you know, similar facilities in the area. But folks, for a long time, I stewed on these 3 things because this shit is way bigger than me. Like, you know, I can get a lot of stuff done, but a lot of this stuff here is a culture issue, and it takes a lot more than some loudmouth guy with a few friends who love fighting for freedom and, you know, really got a lot of health problems and understand the true nature of the world and that every day counts, so you better do stuff that counts. There's only so much we can do with a handful of people. It's always the same faces: volunteering, activism, running the voter booths, and it's just like, you know, I'm sorry, some of you guys got to get up off your asses and help out with this stuff. And I'm hoping when you hear this heinous shit that pretty much I got to hear on a regular basis, you'll reach out and do something. I mean, I hear people meeting this crazy lady Karen and her go off about me, who maybe didn't understand where I was coming from. Oh, if you've got to deal with people like Crazy Karen, I understand why you're stressed out in the way you are. Zach, let me tell you what about Crazy Karen and a lot of this other stuff. Those people are nothing more than a bug on my windshield or bumper in the grand scheme of things, based on some bigger stuff like this I'm constantly having to deal with. So here's my recommendations. Like I said, I'm sorry, I really don't know what to do, but I know doing nothing is driving me nuts. So here's some solutions I came up with. Man, here's some phone numbers to call, and I'll put this down so you can see it better. The ACLU of San Francisco is well aware of several things going on in this community, and basically has helped some of us out before with resources, whether it's lawyers who will do it pro bono, legal advice, information they can give us to help our cause. I suggest them. This is Carol Pfeiffer. He's a lawyer over here on 5th and D in the greenhouse across from the courthouse. Now, I don't know if he's going to be there. I haven't talked to any of these people in advance, so you're going to have to call him and talk to him. I'm probably going to call some of them, at a later point myself, especially these two, on a couple of things. But Carol had lost a relative. I'm not sure who it was to him. Be kind to him. Be nice. This is the guy who helped the homeless when Marysville police were overstepping along with the city. He's helped many times. He's a good person. ACLU is a good resources. Now, as I said, I didn't ask for anything here. But what I will tell you is I've been to all three of these churches, and those are some of the kindest, nicest, wonderful people you'll ever meet in your life there. This I haven't been to in years, but I know several people, and I think they might help you too. So if you are a person who's been abused by our leadership around here in a sexual way or another way, and maybe you need some counseling or you need some help, or, like I said, a lot of these people who've came with accusations, I'd say probably 2/3 of them, they've got problems where they're going to be a less credible witness, or maybe they'd have to get clean for a while. And it's important that if you guys are the ladies are having this done to you, that you get the help you need and reach out. And I think that Glad Tidings, they're really against child molesting and rape and some other accusations I've heard from people about not only the local leadership, but above and beyond that, outside of the police leadership wise. They also have a recovery program, good stuff. And I'm telling you right now, if you don't believe in God, if you go to any of these places, you might end up believing them, or at least looking at Christians a little bit better than maybe you do now. Hillside Community, wonderful recovery program. I used it myself. I remembered where a lot of the good tools I got were actually the 12-step program from my own recovery from methamphetamine years ago. You ever want to see me weigh 165 pounds? I found my own driver's license. Let me tell you what, it's a sight to see. First United Methodist. Man, these people are so kind and friendly. I feel like that if you really needed somebody to talk to, the leadership here would probably be good for that, along with the rest of them. But the love, you can really feel the love. You can feel the Holy Spirit in all of them, but you can really feel the love, brotherly, sisterly love here and here. But this is a lot more softer touch. St. Andrew's Presbyterian. Like I said, I haven't been there in years. Several of my friends have been there for a long time, and I'm keeping it here so you guys can get those numbers. They're also the one that Aaron Easton, the alleged and probable murderer of his wife, Sarah Easton, who allegedly killed herself by shooting herself in the head twice before she would die, and the coroner never put in a cause of death. Basically, that's where his new wife stole, I don't know, a little over $250,000. And I feel like maybe that they're inspired enough, even with me going out there, that they'd be willing to help, a person. They've helped a lot of drug addicts when I was out in that world, and a lot since, and I feel like they might have a vested interest in these corrupt cops over here and the shit that goes on. And, folks, I'm tired of being pissed off because shit only gets worse. Your government is more corrupt than most of you will ever know. And it is, for the most part, the same, at least everywhere in California I've been, other than maybe Shasta and Plumas County and some of those really far northern communities, and even probably it's still the same there. It's just not as big as this. You know, the state and other communities learn how to do the dirty stuff against its citizens right up here from Yuba Sutter, folks. Everybody thinks they're dumb, and that's why it doesn't do good. They're not really dumb at all. They're devious. And, you know, they're definitely not smart when it comes to creativity or anything like that, but they are when it comes to figuring out how to screw people out of money and power and whatever. And it's only going to get worse, folks. We've got an economic collapse looming. We got a lot of need for you guys to get active. I mean, shit, at least vote absentee ballot, or, you know, send a message to your local official expressing your concerns about what they're doing when you read about it on Facebook or Nextdoor or wherever. You know, the problems are not only because we have a corrupt government. That is a sign of basically complacency, because we're allowing it to happen, folks. And this shit just makes me sick to my stomach, folks. And this isn't even half as bad as some of the stuff I hear about that I don't post. So when I go after people hard, you know, trying to get them ousted out of office, a lot of the times it's stuff that we can't even talk about because there isn't enough evidence. Up right here, there is enough evidence in Freedom of Information Act requests, especially with the stuff, you know, of policeman conduct that Marysville refuses to show, kind of pointing the way to that. There's enough witnesses to different stuff over the past. I mean, keep in mind, right down the street over here on B Street, you know, more or less right there where you see the, you know, that red car parked a little bit further than that. They strip searched a woman, Marysville PD did, when I was tin and bar years ago. Lost a bunch of money. You know, you just got to mess, people, and it's systemic, and it goes back to the war on drugs and these war on drug cops. These war on drug cops basically got so much dirt in their past. Some of them got hooked on drugs and basically gave up on the career path they chose because they saw some fucked up shit that they couldn't get over, you know? Like, I see it too. I don't get paid for it. I don't get insurance. You know, a lot of ministers are in the same boat as me. A lot of private citizens are in the same boat as me. And the record is there. I mean, we don't even have a SWAT team because our sheriff was part of some rapery. You can Google Wendell Anderson, Allstate, and it'll come right up the case, basically, as far as what lost us our SWAT team. I mean, you guys gotta want it to change. And I'm telling you right now, if you think the homeless problem and this shit's trouble right now, wait until an economic collapse happens and some of this bigger on stage across the country and across the state stuff takes place, folks. I mean, the governor's after our water because LA can't even get water furnished through Arizona's system of the Hoover Dam anymore. I mean, that's why we're still in a drought, even though we're not. It's because that reservoir, Trinity, and Shasta aren't full enough, which LA mostly depends on. So they're going to come up here and they're going to take our water, and it's because these crooks haven't figured out a good project to put it on. Build a dam, raise a dam, increase storage, make some infrastructure deal with San Joaquin County to sell them water, you know, or do something, because all they're doing is hoarding almost $1 billion now, especially with energy costs soaring. They just got a big payout. And I think some of that money should be used to clean up homeless stuff, especially when sanitation and clogged drains and ditches and all this stuff from the homeless and filth and, you know, it's a problem. It could be used there. But they need to pick a big project, not the spillway, something of size that's going to be the future of Yuba County, like another dam, whether it's Waldo, Canyon Dam, New York Flat, or that other one that's above New Bullards that's been designed. Right now is the time to partner up with our neighbors south of us and get the support for a new dam. It's time to spend that money before the governor gets looking up here too much and takes our water and says we abused the ability to make money with it, which will be a lame excuse, but it's going to be what they use when all of their Southern California judge friends and all their San Francisco judge friends uphold their bullshit excuse. Well, folks, I'm going to go home and make a cannabis smoothie and kill some shit on some Star Wars game I've got now on the Xbox, and probably do some praying and think about this shit some more. But if any of you find it in your heart to help on any of these problems, your community could definitely use the help. God bless. God save us all.